only needs receivers. Be a receiver. That is the only job in front of you in this season. Not the job of explaining yourself, not the job of justifying the wait, not the job of producing evidence ahead of time, the job of receiving what has already been released. There is one more thing the Verge requires. It requires you to stop arguing with yesterday. The hours you have spent rehearsing what you should have done, what you should have said, the relationship you should have left earlier or stayed in longer, the choice you cannot take back, the version of yourself you wish had been wiser at the moment when wisdom would have helped. All of that argument is using energy that the receiving needs. You can lay the argument down. You do not have to win it. You do not have to lose it either. You can just put it down on the floor of the room you are in and step over it and walk forward into the part of your life where the past has stopped voting on who you get to become next. The argument with yesterday is also an argument with the version of yourself who had to live yesterday. That version did the best they could with what they had. They did not have your current information. They did not have your current strength. They did not have your current capacity to see patterns at the scale you can see them now. Treating them as a fool, in retrospect, is unfair to who they actually were at the time. They were not a fool. They were a person doing their best with insufficient light. The light increased afterward. That is how light works. The increased light does not retroactively make them stupid. It only makes them earlier. You can let them be earlier. You can stop punishing them for not being you yet. The blessing is also an act of reconciliation between you and the earlier you. It says, that person was worth the protection it took to get them here. That person was worth the slow patience that made the wait survivable. That person was worth the strange detours that protected what was possible for them later. The blessing arrives partly to honor that person, who is also you, and who has been carrying the project of you across a long stretch of difficult ground. You can let them rest now. You can let them be thanked. You can let the resentment toward them dissolve, because the receiving requires the whole of you to be present, and the earlier you is part of the whole of you. The mercy in your life has been more constant than the consolation. The two are different. Consolation is what you wanted. Mercy is what you got. Mercy is the thing that kept you alive through what should have ended you. Mercy is the thing that delivered you to this verge, even though mercy does not always feel tender on the day it is operating. Look back over the last 5 years. Find the rooms you should not have made it out of. You made it out of them. That is mercy, not luck, not your strength alone. Mercy walking with you through doors you did not know were doors at the time. You can rest now. Resting is part of the receiving. The blessing does not require you to stay awake guarding it into existence. It is moving on its own track. Your part is to keep your hands open. Your part is to keep your face turned toward the direction it is coming from, even when the direction looks empty. Your part is to refuse the voices that want you to close back down right before the arrival. Some of those voices are inside you. They speak in your own register. They sound like wisdom because they sound careful. They are not wisdom. They are the protective contraction. Your fear is trying to perform one last time before the new thing makes the old fear unnecessary. Let the new thing make the old fear unnecessary. That is allowed. You do not have to keep the fear out of loyalty to who you were when the fear was keeping you safe. Loyalty to that version of you is honored, but the loyalty does not require the fear to stay. The fear has done its work. You can thank it. You can release it. You can step into a posture of receiving that does not require defending. The blessing is also forgiving. That word may have been weaponized in your past, used to make you feel guilty for not forgetting fast enough. That is not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is the slow arrival of being able to set something down without needing the other person to come back and apologize. The blessing brings that capacity with it. You will notice in the weeks ahead that something that used to feel sharp has begun to feel softer. That is not denial. That is the muscle of your heart growing strong enough that the old wound no longer dominates the room. You do not have to forgive on a deadline. The capacity is being given. Use it when it arrives. You will know yourself differently after this. You will catch your reflection at an unexpected moment, and you will recognize with a small shock that the person looking back is more whole than the person you have been describing yourself as. That gap between how you describe yourself and who you have actually become has been closing for a while. The blessing closes it the rest of the way. You will speak about yourself with more accuracy. You will stop using the old vocabulary of someone who is still in the wait. You will not become a different person. You will become an honest version of the person you have been all along, finally allowed to walk in your own size. The closing of this message is not the closing of what is happening. It is the part where you take what has been said and carry it back into the ordinary motion of your life. The ordinary motion is where the blessing will find you, not in a special posture, not in a dramatic event you have to manufacture to be ready for. In the small turning toward, the small willingness to keep your eyes open, the small refusal to talk yourself out of what your body already knows is true. Your body knows. That is something you should hear. The settled feeling in your chest right now, the unfamiliar quiet behind your ribs, the way your shoulders have dropped a quarter inch since you began listening, all of these are your body, recognizing what your mind is still processing. The body is often the first to register grace. Trust it. Let the quiet stay. Do not rush back into the noise that was here before. Amen. If these words found a place in you, stay close. There is more coming, in voice and in shape, and the next time you hear something like this, it will land in a heart that has already begun to soften. Subscribe so the next message reaches you on the day it is supposed to. Share it with one person whose face came to mind while you listened. That sharing is part of how the blessing keeps moving.